I will now call the East Lyme Zoning Commission regular meeting of January 7th, 2021 to order. It is 7:30. This meeting is being held via video conference on Zoom. Now do a roll call. As you can tell, Mr. Walker is not with us right now. Mr. Dwyer. Kim K.
Here.
Mr. Peck.
Here.
Ann Thurlow.
Here.
Mr. Liska is not here. Denise.
Here.
There you are. And George.
Here.
Is here. We have Brooke with us. We have Mr. Mulholland. And we have Jen. Guidelines of Zoom meeting. Please remember that while unmuted, we can hear you and everything going on around you. We can also see you. Board members and staff will be unmuted during the entire meeting. As required by executive order, everyone must state their name and where they are from prior to speaking, such as John Smith, board member, Harry White, 123 Main Street, etc., each time they speak. During public delegations, Jennifer will open lines for comment. Please wait to be called on to speak. Once you have finished speaking, please mute your microphone or phone. During each agenda item, only the board and staff will be unmuted to speak on that particular item. Members and alternates for all motions. In the interest of making sure we have a clear record, please plan on roll call votes so the public and Brooke, who's taking minutes, can be very clear for the record. This entire meeting is automatically recorded by Zoom, and upon the host logging out, the meeting will cease, and so will the recording. The meeting cannot continue without the host. Public delegations. Public delegations is the time when members of the public are invited to speak to the commission on subject matters that are not on the agenda.
You got nobody.
Nice. We got nobody. Public hearings, we have none. The regular meeting, item number 1 is the fiscal year budget of 2021-22. We're going to table this item until Chairman Walker will be able to join us. Moving on to article number 2, approval of minutes of December 3rd, 2020. Need a motion? I actually have a question. On page 10, motion 5, which was the election of Matt and myself, the first one is, it says that the motion carried 6-0-0. I believe that should read 5-0-0 because Matt should have abstained himself. Is that correct? No? Okay. Never mind.
I'm not. Hold on. Let Brooke answer the question.
I heard him say, I recall him saying, I'll go ahead and vote for myself. So
Okay.
that's why it reads 6-0-0.
Yeah.
Understood. Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you.
And at this time, I'd like to take a motion.
So moved for the approval of the minutes.
Okay, do I have a second? Mr. Dwyer, second. All those in favor of the minutes of December 2020, say aye, and then I will do a roll call. We have Mr. Dwyer. There's an aye there. Kim K.
Aye.
Mr. Peck.
Aye.
Ms. Thurlow.
Aye.
And we got Denise and George, which I'm sure you guys are aye. So the motion carries. Myself is an aye. Motion carries. 6-0-0. Oh, all those against, or abstain, etc. Sorry about that. Old business, we have none. New business, we have an application of Jonathan Tunsky, who is a senior landscape architect of To Design for Town of East Lyme / Miracle League for the renovation of an existing play area and addition of a new bathroom / storage building at 171 Boston Post Road, subject to section 5.8, 24, and 25 of East Lyme zoning regulations. Mr. Mulholland, could you schedule this, please?
Oh, we shall do so. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'll ask if there's any business on the floor. So by the majority of the commission,
Yes, I have an item.
Mr. Peck, the floor is yours.
Okay. A possible text amendment, very simple text amendment, if I may, with the permission of the board.
I myself have no issue. Anyone have any issues? Mr. Dwyer, I cannot hear you. Still muted.
What is the text amendment?
Well, I just need everybody's permission to speak here.
He will present it if we give him permission to, Mr. Dwyer.
Oh,
Everyone else okay with that?
Good.
Okay, Mr. Peck, please proceed.
All right, this has to do with the flood section of 15.1 of our current regulations. In regards to the subject of substantial damage or substantial improvement. Currently, if a person, a homeowner or a business owner or a property owner wants to repair their place, improve their place, if they spend over 50% of the market value of the property over the course of 10 years, that will trigger the whole building to be put into current codes. This 10-year period is in question, and my proposal would be to reduce this to a 2 or 3 year period. What this causes, this 10-year period, it discourages property owners repairing and improving their property. So, and you know, for example, you're on the waterfront, and you're doing work on the property over the course of 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and year 8, we have a hurricane, and you put it maybe $50,000 worth of damage, but because you spent all this money over the course of the last 7 years, you got to tear your place down, like you've seen being done all along the waterfront. Instead of saving it, it discourages people to spend money on their property, basically. Bill will back me up on that. On this is that there's been several requests from town property owners here in East Lyme to reduce this to 2 or 3 years. Old Lyme has knocked it down to 5 years. Waterford has knocked theirs down to 2 years. Stonington, 1 year. And Noank, Bill can fill you in on that. I think they're working on something as well. So I think this is very appropriate. It's a very simple change, and it will help quite a few people, not only to encourage them to work on their property, but also to save and preserve their old buildings. So what I'd like to propose is that, and I'd be glad to be part of a small committee to do this. I believe it's quite simple. I could work with Bill on it. If anybody else would like to join, I'd like your permission to pursue this.
Norm,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Tim.
I just
Oh,
have
I
a question.
I have a question.
Sorry, Ann.
Oh,
Norm,
I think it's a good idea. I have a question. Does FEMA have any rules about it, or is it strictly up to the town?
FEMA and, in fact, the DEP backs up what I'm proposing.
Okay.
They've agreed to it with these other towns. FEMA, it's flexible. It never
Okay.
used to be flexible years ago, but now they've loosened up and let each town decide what rules they want to use.
Oh, that's awesome. Good.
Mr. Mulholland.
Norm's absolutely correct. Under the 50% rule, which is when you talk about substantial improvement, it's 50% of the market value of just the structure. So it doesn't include the lot. So if you have a waterfront home and it's an older home and you inherited it from grandma, maybe it's only worth $150,000, $200,000. Well, then over a 10-year period, you can only improve it up to $100,000 of value. We are required as mandated by FEMA to track that, to look at to track the cost of the improvements. There's a whole lot of administrative issues that we have to deal with on a staff level when we talk about waterfront homes. Norm is correct about the trend along the coast. Some of you may know I also do no-link zoning on a Tuesday night for a couple of hours, and they are engaged, deeply engaged in looking at the same issue, and they're talking about 2 years, 3 years. Norm's right about Stonington, and what we found is the rule encourages people to tear their homes down, and that's what FEMA's pushing, and putting them up on piers. And what you have in a lot of communities that have waterfront homes of character, you lose that character. Knowing's a prime example. Stonington, Stonington Village, Mystic, and Niantic East Lyme has a lot of nice homes on the shorefront. Not that the new ones can't be designed nicely. However, you've got some great old character in some of these old buildings. So this is a way, and even when real estate sells on the waterfront, the first thing somebody does when they buy a home is they want to put a new kitchen in and new bathrooms, if not more substantial. And when they find out about this rule, now they have to decide whether to tear it down or just make do with the existing conditions. So this 10-year rule is now flexible. We can reduce it. I've talked to our friends at FEMA up at DEP. They have indicated, and I have an email that says we can do this. So it's up to the local community. The regulation from FEMA gave us an option of 1 to 10, and at the time when we were directed to modify our FEMA regs some years ago, the zoning board chose the 10-year more conservative. But now that we have more experience and up and down the coast, we find that it's, in some instances, some people find it problematic. Other people promote the 10 years. I don't have any issues with the community going to 1, 2, 3, whatever the commission chooses to do. It doesn't change what we do here, but it does allow more flexibility on the waterfront. So Norm's absolutely right, and if you want to move forward, I'm happy to work with Norm and or whatever the commission chooses to do.
Yeah, I just have a question. I mean, are we looking to add something or change some wording in here? I'm trying to find it in.
Well, I think just change the 10-year date.
Where is that in here?
It's section 15.1.
Yeah, which
Page 83 in my book, substantial improvement.
The substantial.
It's alphabetical order. So go look for the S's.
So the question I had, I mean, I understand the 10 years and I absolutely support changing that, but what was the rationale for the 50% and the 25% references? Were those FEMA guidelines as well? Because that seems pretty high.
Yeah, Kim, by FEMA, what occurred some years ago, we were directed to update our FEMA regs and our zoning code and our town ordinance. And Deep, on behalf of the feds, sent us down a menu to the town of East Lyme, and we had options of what we could adopt. There was the mandatory sections, which was the 50% rule. The only flexibility was the 10-year, and at that time, we took the very conservative approach. So they were mandated and there were some options. And our regs are pretty standard, but we have found that trending along the coast is, as Norma has pointed out, modification of that 10-year rule.
So leaving the percentages.
So I think the percentages, well, I think Norm's making the proposal, but I think he wants to leave the percentage but just change the 10 years, if I understand him correctly.
Yeah,
That's what so Norm, what do you think would be good for us?
I would
George, I see you.
like to see 2 years.
2 years?
And by the way, Kim, that 25% is actually 50% because it's it's 2 years, 25% each in that paragraph.
Well,
That's
the
under
first
substantial
reference is
damage.
50% of the market value of the structure before the damage occurs. But then, as you read further down there, the second to last sentence equals or exceeds 25% of the market value.
You're looking under the substantial damage. I see it. Yeah, and I've got it too. So we're really talking about substantial improvement, which is what we look at for 50%. So I would not pay attention to substantial damage. We're looking at substantial improvement, which is 50% or
I think
10
we have to change both of them.
Let's
The
see.
10-year period is in the damage clause. I don't see the 10-year period in the.
Second sentence.
Yeah, the 10 year.
Oh, it's written out as opposed to the number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I think both of them will be addressed in this.
What I would suggest, if you want to move forward on this, I could get together with Norm and we could go in and look at it very closely. And then on the substantial damage, I could look at that a little closer and see if we need to change that as well. And if so, we'd include it in anything that we propose, provided you choose to go forward.
And in terms of if it does affect anything else in that definition, correct?
Correct.
All right. I personally don't have an issue with that. I don't know. I think, Jen, I think we're done with that screen there. You can see everybody again. Does anybody have any? Oh, yeah, George, there you are. Now I can see you. Yes,
Yeah, I
George.
just got a comment that I totally agree with Norm on this one. Having come from the construction side, it was always a royal pain, this 10-year rule. Now being on the real estate side, and Ann can back me up on this, we can lose deals. People will walk away.
Yeah.
Because of that 10-year rule.
I do. So then, just
and
on a little
2 years as well.
On a little side note, on my error there, I did forget to seat an alternate, so I do apologize for that.
George's turn.
Yeah, I know. Thanks, Denise. So it would be Denise's turn in terms of the voting process. So do we need to make a motion on this, Norm, for you to continue with Mr. Mulholland, or anyone else who would like to join this little subcommittee?
Yeah, I'll do it.
George?
Yeah.
Are you making a motion?
No, I'm going to join the subcommittee. I don't think we need a motion for this stuff.
No? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, it could be a consensus or a motion, whatever you choose.
Personally, I have no problem with it. Does anybody have an issue?
I think it's a good idea.
So then I would think the general consensus is yes. So I would.
So Norm and I will get together, and George, and
Yep.
we'll do a quick review. It shouldn't take us long, and we'll bring it forward.
No.
Right? Okay. Anybody
Okay.
else?
Nope.
Moving on? All right, moving on. Mr. Mulholland.
We're still busy. Some irons in the fire. We have a new Mexican restaurant. They're going to open in March, so I think that's something to look forward to. They're going into the old Burke's building. They're in there working now, so on a high note, and something to look forward to as we move through the pandemic, and hopefully they'll be successful. Other than that, Rocky Neck Village is under construction. I'm having some very severe issues with them. I threatened to close them down for a month today. I've got a meeting with their engineer on Monday. I think we're going to be able to clear things up, but this has been an ongoing battle. Other than that, we're busy. I see a slight lull coming this week, next week. I imagine once the weather breaks a little, we'll get more busy. That's all I really have to offer.
Any word on the highway construction?
Yes. It's my understanding that the DOT sent tree cutters down last week, and they cut on the state property next to the, I think it's Esso gas station?
No, the mobile.
The mobile. And I understand they're taking the mobile sooner rather than later. And I also understand from the Gateway folks, because they have lobbyists, that the bridge project is the highest priority in the state on the governor's list and that it's going to go forward.
Cool.
So I've picked up that information this week, and obviously many of us saw the woodcutters, which surprisingly. And so we'll see where that goes. I've sent an email off to DOT making an inquiry because I worked with some of their engineers a couple of years ago on this stuff and on some of the designs, so I'd like to see an update. And we can go from there. And I actually talked to the attorney for the guy that owns the gas station, and he indicated that they are moving forward suddenly and quickly.
Any idea on timeline on that?
I think 2022 they'll be working.
Well, no, I mean closing the gas station.
No, I don't have that at this time.
They've been in doing all the environmental studies, so usually when we see environmental people coming in, it happens pretty quickly at that point.
Thanks, Jen.
So
I hate
thank
to
you.
make a mountain out of a molehill, but it's not my fault. What's the status of the Stop and Shop pine trees?
I have a very aggressive cease and desist order that's under review by town attorney. I expect to discuss it with him tomorrow. He's proofing it, maybe make some modifications to it, and then we're going to send that out by certified mail and regular mail. And it pretty much lays the law down. I'll share it with the commission as soon as I get a green light from the attorneys. I'll have Jen send it out by email, and so you can include the whole board. And I don't disagree with you. Mr. Chairman, I have nothing further. I don't know about Norm.
Nope.
What's going on?
We can't hear Terry.
I know. Terry, I think we
My
lost your audio. It never happens when you're sharing. It just happened to tie. You jinxed yourself.
He was trying to say something about how good he looked.
Doesn't he look great?
He does look awesome.
Really, really good. Good for you.
I mean, he really upgrades the whole meeting when he dresses like this.
You're going to go to his head, Kim.
I'm going to wear a tie next time.
Yeah. And I didn't for the first time. Cold out.
Agreed.
He is looking for a motion to adjourn.
Oh, so moved.
Somebody,
Second.
second? Did we get a second?
Yes.
Yeah, you had George and Ann and even Kim in there, so pick one.
Whoever.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.